Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to start off on a series I've been wanting to do for a while, and that's jump back into Falcon and do a couple of sound design videos around UVI's Falcon. We're going to look at everything from sort of multi-sampling and using that in patches to the synthesis side of things, and just kind of creating some cool stuff with this really powerful VST plugin from UVI. It's still, I rate, one of my favorite plugins. I haven't been using it as much lately, so for me as well, I kind of want to get back into doing more stuff with this again. I've just been busy with a whole bunch of other stuff as well, so trying to learn other plugins. It's hard to stay up to date with everything, but yeah, so let's dive in this first video. I want to kind of make some drum patches. We're going to use the sampling and sample a couple of drum sounds, and then do some interesting stuff with sequencing as well. Let's dive in. We're going to check this out. Okay, so we've got a fresh copy of Falcon loaded up, and let's get into importing some sounds. What I'm going to do is look for a couple of sort of minimal percussion sounds. I'm just going to jump into a sound library that's just off camera, off screen. And I'm going to kind of just listen to a few of these. Let's maybe grab that one. When we bring these in, we're not going to use the option custom drop. We don't need sort of mapping according to keys, etc. We're just going to chromatically map them manually along the keys. So what you want to do is kind of just drag it all the way down to the bottom, so you get one key here, and we'll drop it on there. Just kind of just go through this. Just kind of looking for little blips and see some of these. That's kind of what we want. And we're just kind of doing this at random as well. We'll kind of tweak it as we go, but I kind of wanted this to be quite chaotic and looking for sort of happy accidents to happen here. Let's just adjust that one. And I think we pretty much got enough there to begin with. All right, so we've got key groups for each of these samples. Now just remember with Falcon, when you want to edit filters, for example, if you want a filter to trigger with your key presses, you're going to have to make sure that you are editing these in batch mode. So you can select your apply to all oscillators. The easiest way to do it is just make sure that you have everything selected. And you can see here, sample selected 8. If you select these singly, applying a filter to this will only apply to that sample that you have selected. And applying the filters on the layer section is not going to help you at all either, because that is not going to be triggered by the envelopes correctly when you're playing them on the keys. So initially we're just going to kind of keep all of these selected, and we can adjust them individually later on. But before we do any filtering or anything like that, I kind of want to get a sequence in here. So we're going to use the new Euclidean sequencer, the drum sequencer for Falcon. And we're going to do that in the event section over here. In the layer section, we're going to load up a new event and a script processor. And let's grab the Euclidean drum sequencer. You have a number of different sequences here, but we're going to use this one. This one kind of, you can play around with this and you'll kind of get quite chaotic results, but they still have really interesting grooves to them. So you'll notice that the drum samples I dropped in from C1 onwards. This is kind of where this reads the drums from. I wish they'd kind of done this slightly differently, because you can see here we have note 36. It's a little bit odd that, so this is apparently note 36, but there's no kind of indication as to that. I wish they'd kind of done, you know, C1 or whatever. And we'll just have to set these up so that they trigger all these samples. So first things first, we can just check if we turn this on and hit play. Cool. So we're getting the lowest one triggered, that zap sound that we've got there. And then we want to trigger these chromatically all the way up. So let's just make sure that we have 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, and 43. So now these will all trigger all these notes over here. So now how a Euclidean sequencer works, I've used these before in some of the modular demos that I've done as well. You have the amount of hits and the amount of steps. Now these steps is going to be how many steps there are in the loop that plays. The hits is going to be how they are spread out. So by dialing this down, you'll see they'll evenly be spread out through all 16ths. If you hit this at 4, obviously you'll have a 4-4 pattern. 16 steps divided by 4, you'll have 4. But where this gets interesting is when you start selecting sort of uneven numbers that don't go into these sequences, like fifths, for example. You'll have 5 hits in a step, or in a loop of 16 steps. It will sound a bit like this. Cool. So let's start bringing in some other ones. I'm going to kind of just randomly create something here. So you can see these both starting at the same point. They start on this 90-degree section here. If you use the offset, you can offset these to start slightly later, and you can fiddle around with that until you get something that you like. Some of these as well, we're going to adjust the length of the sequence. We'll get sort of polyrhythm kind of things. We'll do, let's say, 9 for this. We'll do 6 out of 9. That last one, we'll let that play constantly as well. We'll do some work on that as well when we get into the editing of the actual samples. So now I've got a rhythm that I kind of like. I want to just adjust these offsets a little bit more. Again, you've got them all starting on the beginning here. We'll leave that one. This one will start later. This one will start 1 later. This one will start 3 later, I think. 2. There we go. Let's take a listen to that again. Cool. So now let's get into editing these samples. Just for the sake of this demo, let's put a filter on these just so I can show you how you can add a filter envelope as well. I have covered this with an old video of sampling in Falcon, but we'll just do it again quickly. So in order to get the filters to trigger with an envelope, we're going to have to put them in the key groups section. So again, make sure that you have all the key groups selected. You're going to assign a filter to every single one of the key groups. So we'll go with a digital filter. And let's hit play again. So you can hear we have filtering now happening on all of our drum sounds. Now if we want to, we can do this in 2 ways. If we want to bring in some automation or some modulation on that now. From the modulation browser up here, we can just grab an analog ADSR and we can drop that in here with the amp envelope next to that. Let's rename this as well to filter ADSR, just so we know what we're looking for. And in the modulation section at the bottom here, you can see under the key group level, you've got filter ADSR. And to assign this now, it's pretty easy. You just drag that out onto the filter. It's just the amount. That's grab that one again. Back off slightly on that. Okay, so we get some interesting stuff happening when we adjust these spreads and so on. So what I'm going to do here is now go out of the multiple selection, out of the batch mode, and we can actually edit these filter parameters individually for each of the drums. So let's just play this back, and we're just going to go through all of these and edit them. Let's adjust this one's spread. You can even give some of these a different filter completely. Go the bandpass for this. This one actually will bring that up. If we grab these again, we can now adjust them, that parameter all at the same time. But it will, however, unfortunately reset a lot of stuff that we've done there. Let's also adjust the start time for this one. That's better. Cool. Alright, so let's get into adding some effects and stuff. So we've got a nice sort of randomly generated but still rhythmical and interesting little electro percussion loop going on here. We'll add some more movement to this now as well. We can go in and actually change the panning, etc. of these as well by adjusting the pan and volume for each one of them if you'd like. You can pitch them up and down individually as well. But we're going to jump into the layer section now, and we'll add some effects here. So these ones don't need to be triggered by an envelope per se. So we'll add in, let's go down to the legacy effects. So there's the Redux module that you can drop in here, which is kind of like a bit reduction thing. Let's play this back. Actually, what I'm going to do quickly now as well, I'm kind of happy with this rhythm. So instead of having to hit play on this every single time, what we're going to do is just generate MIDI. And you'll see that little drag and drop file load up there. So we can bring that in, drag and drop that into our project. And you'll see we've got all our MIDI in there. We'll grab the first 9 bars of that. And there we go. And now we don't actually need this Euclidean sequence anymore, so we could get rid of this. We'll just turn it off for now and hide that. Cool. So let's check out the resampling now. We're going to add a bit of automation to this one as well. We'll back off on the mix, and then on the mix we're going to add in a modulation source. Let's grab from layer again. Remember, we're working in the layer now. So let's grab a step envelope. Back off slightly on the amount. Maybe add reverb here as well. That's pretty cool. Let's see what we can do with that. Let's add another step envelope to that one. We'll introduce a few more steps for this one. And we can do kind of polyrhythms with these as well. Let's do 27 steps and just see what happens. A little bit too tonal for me. That I'll just see if we can come up with a different reverb for that. Yeah, I like that. Cool. Let's maybe just try and finish this off now. I wanted to just take the one that's playing the 16th note, so it'll be this sound. And we're just going to adjust the panning on this one. I think you can do it from, yeah, I'm not sure if you'd have to have this on its own layer. Yeah, okay, so this we would actually, to be able to do auto panning on this one, we would need it on its own layer. I'm not sure if you can actually add an automation to the mapping itself. No. We would have to do that differently if we wanted to get auto panning going on there. But that's fine, not the end of the world. And let's just finish this off now as well. We'll jump in and add a few more effects here. Maybe just a little bit of overdrive. EQ. And we'll finish it off with some dynamics. We'll just use a maximizer. Cool. And now that we've actually got the MIDI in here as well, so it's not just running from the sequence all the time, we can actually, for our loops, go and add in a little bit of variation to these. Just kind of do some random stuff here. And one more. We'll do a little roll with these. We should have actually done a few accents with this as well. In the Euclidean sequencer, if we just bring that up again, you can actually add a little bit more dynamics to your rhythm as well. If you check out the accent section here, you can actually add random accents to some of these as well, which is quite nice for generating just slightly more dynamic content with the patterns. But I think for this this case, this works fine. And let's just move a few of these around just for a little bit of variation. Won't be super noticeable. Okay, let's check that out. Yeah, we might need to just tweak this one again because it's not quite... works better kind of as more of a sub. Cool, so the easy way to kind of generate some pretty interesting percussion riffs, and you know, you can just kind of really experiment with this Euclidean sequencer in Falcon, and it's quite easy to generate sort of new versions of this as well. We'll just, once you've got sort of a template set up, we can bang that one down to audio, and let's just let's delete our MIDI completely, and we'll turn on the sequencer again. And let's just adjust a few totally randomly. I'm not even thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just kind of moving things around. We'll add some accents in this time around. And I'm just kind of hoping for accidents in this case. Let's take a listen. We're going to want to just adjust the envelopes as well. We'll just grab some presets. Now another easy way to just randomize these as well is just completely move the samples around. Go and maybe tweak the pitch of some of these. And this, I quite like where that sub's doing, but I kind of want more of that that sort of low kick vibe there. And it's really easy to just kind of add some sort of manual stuff to this as well. Let's take that one, and we're going to kind of just do a slightly more uniform pattern with that. And let's say we want to just remove that completely. We can just duplicate out these sections that we've manually entered there as well. And there we go. So you can see how quick and easy it was to kind of just experiment with stuff and get some pretty usable loops just from messing around and trying like quite weird ideas with it. We've got that loop and then the original one that we did. There you go. So, I mean, yeah, you can just really go to town with that and just kind of play around with this. I mean, I've said this before, a lot of my sound design stuff I try and keep separate from actually writing music. And this is why, I can spend a whole day just fiddling with things like this. And Falcon's a great tool to do that in. Just experiment with little new rhythms and things and save everything that you do, and then you have this library of little experiments that you can use and bring in. You might want to just cut out little sections of these at some point or use all of it, whatever you want, So really the world is your oyster, and All it takes is a little bit of creativity and have some fun with it. Cool. So that's the first one for Falcon down. We'll do some more soon. I want to take a look at doing some granular pads. Falcon's really kind of a go-to for me for big atmospheric design and pad sounds. The granular stuff's fantastic. So we'll probably do that next. Take a look at some sampling, some granular or some waves into Falcon, and then creating some granular pads and atmospheres with that. Cool. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I shall see you soon. You're on the channel. Of course, if you do enjoy these videos, it really helps me out if you hit that like button, share the videos, subscribe to the channel if you want to stay in touch and see new stuff coming out all the time, and just make sure you hit that notifications bell as well so that you're kept up to date on what we have coming out. Also, if you want to check out presets and stuff that are out now, I've got a new one from Repro, for Repro. There's Diva, my older packs for Serum. Just head over to www.marulamusic.com. Check out the packs there. I'll have some new stuff coming out soon as well. Right, take care, guys. Stay safe, and I will see you soon. Cheers.